This is the newest cover of Time magazine, dedicated to Charlie Kirk, titled Enough: The Killing of Charlie Kirk and the Epidemic of American Political Violence. More news today from the FBI, Congress, President Trump, Gen Z, and where we go from here after the horrific and unthinkable day that we just had. So, welcome to the Adam C. Moreno Show. If you think conversations like this matter more than they ever have, please consider liking, subscribing, and let's jump right in. First and foremost, we need to start here. The FBI has now released images of the suspect, asking the public for help in identifying the person of interest regarding the shooting. This post has been seen by tens of millions. The entire country is watching, searching desperately for this person. So if you have any information, call 1-800-CALL-FBI. Also, minutes ago, they just released more images. Look at this. Very, very clear. Wow. More news today comes from Anna Paulina Luna, representative from Florida. She writes, I owe my entire political career to Charlie Kirk. I would quite literally not be in office today if it weren't for him. Even my own party was working against me. Charlie endorsed me and campaigned to help me win my election. She goes on to say, today I'm urging Speaker Johnson to place a statue of Charlie in the U.S. Capitol to honor his legacy and to serve as a permanent testament to his life, work, and sacrifice. Wow. This is all but one moment showing how deep Charlie Kirk's impact went, from changing lives to building careers and shaping an entire movement. Over the last 24 hours, I've discovered not just how meaningful and impactful his public life was, but how beautiful his personal life was. He wasn't just someone with a remarkable brain and ability to communicate theologically and politically, but he was constantly raising leaders, giving support, extending grace, and he was truly a one-for-one leader. President Trump also this morning spoke about Charlie Kirk, and I thought his words were really beautiful. This is on Joe Squawk.
I left the set that President Trump actually called in, and I figured I'd take that call. He happy anniversary, happy 30 years. He loves what we do. Loves what we do every morning. Said, make sure you tell Becky and Andrew that he loves what
about me? He doesn't want to wish me happy.
He did mention Bob Kraft, and
sure.
thought that was a great interview. He's devastated about Charlie Kirk, and said that what a guy, what a great individual, and he said he helped him greatly in the last election, and thinks that Charlie Kirk could have been president someday. He was such a talented guy. Then he went.
President Trump saying that Charlie Kirk could have been president one day is so chilling and absolutely true. This morning, President Trump also said that he was going to be giving Charlie Kirk posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
We miss him greatly, yet I have no doubt that Charlie's voice and the courage he put into the hearts of countless people, especially young people, will live on. I'm pleased to announce that I will soon be awarding Charlie Kirk posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The date of the ceremony will be announced, and I can only guarantee you one thing, that we will have a very big crowd, very, very big.
A lot of people last night were asking for this, so I'm really glad to see it. And while this was going on, Democrats across the board were speaking out against the dangerous rhetoric and the divisiveness that we've seen online. Watch this.
Well, look, the bottom line is this is a time that all Americans should come together and feel and mourn what happened. Violence, which affects so many different people of so many different political persuasions, is an affliction of America. And coming together is what we ought to be doing, not pointing fingers of blame.
This moment requires leadership that brings the American people together as opposed to trying to further divide us. Political violence in any form against any American is unacceptable, should be denounced by everyone. And moving forward, we have to figure out a better way to come together, not as Democrats or Republicans, but as Americans.
I really like what Hakeem said here. We need to come together, not as Democrats or Republicans, but as Americans. During the first Continental Congress in Philadelphia, Patrick Henry said, the distinction between Virginians and Pennsylvanians and New Yorkers and New Englanders are no more. I am not a Virginian, but an American. And in this moment of turmoil, I think now more than ever do we need to set our differences aside and elevate the conversation. Ben Shapiro is also more committed to this movement than ever. There was a rumor circulating today that he was going to be canceling his tours because of what happened, but instead he is doubling down.
And free discussion, who believe that they have ownership over public spaces and can violently threaten and kill people who speak freely. We are not going to stop. And I have 2 words: fuck you. We will not stop telling the truth. We will never stop telling the truth. We will never stop debating and discussing. We will never stop standing up for what America is and for what she should be. And we will never let Charlie Kirk's voice die.
You know, instead of being consumed by the fear, he chose to double down, and I have a lot of respect for that. There is something brewing right now. I think that is completely undeniable. And Alyssa Fair-Griffin thinks the same thing. She goes on CNN to talk about how Gen Z is poised to be the most right-wing generation in 50 years.
Gen Z is going to be the most right-wing generation in 50 years. Statistically speaking, there was a huge turnout of youth voters for Donald Trump. That was unexpected, something that's usually a Democratic stronghold. There's probably no individual more responsible for that than Charlie Kirk. You really can't underestimate and downplay how influential he was in activating young people and how hand in hand he was working with the Trump campaign to turn out younger voters. And I would just say this, echoing what David said, which is, you don't have to agree with the damn thing that he said, but he did it the way you're supposed to. He showed up and he debated people and he engaged them to their faces. He wasn't a keyboard warrior. He wasn't threatening people. That is how a civil society conducts itself. You go to places and you have debates on the issues of our day. And that's what he modeled. So any of his acolytes who are taking it a different direction, you're not honoring his legacy.
I don't think this can be said enough, quite frankly. So many people are getting radicalized and red-pilled in this moment. Gen Z has now witnessed a COVID pandemic, 2 assassination attempts on the president, grown up with countless school shootings left and right, and now this tragic, horrific moment with Charlie Kirk. There is something brewing. An entire generation that was taught trauma and fear and polarization, and this is whenever we really have to be honest with each other right now about the path moving forward. I saw this from Anna Mattson today. She was showing this old video of RFK Jr., who's now our HHS secretary, and this is whenever he was running for president. And I think these words are much, much needed.
When the king and queen look over the balustrades of their castle and they see all of their subjects fighting each other, they go back to the banquet room and they pop champagne corks, as they know as long as we're all feuding with each other, then nobody's coming over the castle walls. So this hatred we have for each other is orchestrated. And what my job is during this campaign and then during my presidency is to unify Americans. And then we're all going to go over the castle wall together. And we're going to take back our country.
This is so powerful. And he's right. We spend so much time arguing about the areas of difference rather than building on the unity that we do share. And let me also share some newer videos that have just come out. Here is J.D. Vance, along with other men, carrying Charlie Kirk's casket after he arrived in his home city in Phoenix, Arizona. This truly does not feel real. We also have this other video with Charlie Kirk's wife, Erica, getting off of Air Force Two.
But guess what? They created hundreds of Charlie Kirks. And these young people are telling me, I'm not going to hide who I am or what I believe. I'm going to live life to the full and with faith.
His family, including Erica and Vice President Vance, walking off the Air Force Two. I mean, it is a gut punch. Doesn't begin to describe this, Raymond. It just doesn't. But I'm so glad.
A gut punch is just the beginning of it. You know, I do not know what the future looks like, but I do know that it cannot look like our past. We need to create a new and better conversation. We need to create a better reality. And I will say this, though, as someone who believes in Jesus, I am so tormented and begging for discernment as to what comes next. I don't know. I don't know if it is time to go on the offense and flip tables, or if it's time to elevate a better conversation. I don't know. But I do know that our future cannot look like our past. Anyways, let me know what you think about all this in the comment section. And if you made it this far, please consider liking, subscribing, and same thing that I said yesterday. Please be part of this conversation any way you know how, because now more than ever, this country needs you. I'll see you next time.
Episode's over already? Jeez, that was fast. Well, they say beautiful things do not last forever, but feel free to watch and listen to another one of these episodes if you're interested in those conversations as well. Also, this next part is huge. Make sure to obliterate that like and subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never skip a beat. I also have a newsletter where we dive into the news, politics, and ideas that shape our future. If you're interested in signing up, I'd really appreciate that. Anyways, that's the end of this episode. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I'll see you next time.